First, what you're gonna do is unhook these hooks here first. One there, and there'll be one on this side too. And you want to have it placed facing towards you like this when you start. Next, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take off one screw here, and that's gonna bring down one plastic here. Then you're gonna take off another screw that's right in there. Next, you're gonna disconnect that cable there, and then you'll take off the black piece. So then you're going to take off 5 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you just take off. Next, we're going to remove this screw here and this screw here. Next, you're going to have to remove a couple C-clamps. So there's one right there. So you use a flathead. There's one right there, and there's one right there. So you remove those 3 C-clips. Okay, so now you can pull off your gears. So then when you pull them off, you just want to make sure you line them up with the C-clamp with. Same thing as well. Line them up with the C-clamp it was with. Now we're going to move on to this part. So then when we do remove this part, we need to put it the exact same way it was. So as you can see, there's a 3 line there, 2 line there, 2 line there, and a little bit longer line right there. So when we put it back, it needs to look exactly like this. Next, we're going to remove one more clip right there. Now we're going to pull this little lever down, and then this should be able to pull right out. Next, you're going to take off this screw off right here, like so. Now you're able to pull off this piece off, like so. So you're just going to wiggle it up and down, and then you'll see that it'll come right off. Now you're going to turn to this side, on this side, and then what you're going to do is you're going to just go ahead and pull this whole rod right out. Next, you can go ahead and remove this gear. Just pull right out. First, we're going to remove this C-clip, and then we'll move that white gear. Make sure you leave the C-clamp with it. Next, you're going to go ahead and take off this C-clamp here. Once you take that off, you'll pull on it, and then you see this little rod, you'll pull right out. Now we're on this side. Like I mentioned before, you want to make sure you have them lined up like this, so when you put it back, you have the 4 lines there, 2 small lines there, a small there. And then you'll go ahead and remove the C-clamp from there. Then you can pull down. Next, we'll take this off. Remove the little guide there, pull down and pull out. Next, you're going to have one screw to take off, and then we'll be able to remove the bracket from this side. Next, you can go ahead and pull the module right like so. Now that you have it out, you want to aim towards this side here with this guide right here. We're going to use that as the guide. First, we're going to take off this screw here. In this case, this part right here, it has a little bar bearing there. So then when you take it off, you'll see that the little ball will come right out. The little bearing there. That one. That's going to go right in here, in this area. Okay, next you're going to pull this one, and then you just want to put it back in its place there. Okay, now you're going to pull the roller out, and then you'll have the other ball bearing there, and then you're going to put it to the side. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and pull out this roller. So when you do pull it out, you just want to make sure that the short edge is on this side, and then you have the long edge on this side. So when you do return it back into that hole, short edge is on that side, long edge is on that side. Then you'll see that the wick part will come off quite easily as well. Next, you're going to take off the springs on each side. So you have a hook it on that side, and you want to do it for this side here as well. Now that you have them off, then you can go ahead and lift up this part, and then next you're going to want to take off these 2 screws to take off that part there. Next, you're going to remove 2 screws, one there and one there. Next, you'll take off the blade. Next, we're going to go ahead and air blow all of these here, and then we'll return back. Now we have it all cleaned up. Just make sure when you do go back into putting the part, make sure that gear is there. Sometimes when you put air, it might fly off. We'll go ahead and install a brand new cleaner here. We're going to line it up like so. First, the thing it might be a little bit complicated, but you have to put this inside, and then once you put it inside, you're gonna fold it in. So once you get inside, you'll have to go in,
No touching here.
and no touching the top part here. You don't want to ruin none of that. So you want to make sure it slides in there, so then when you do fold, you can see it tries to go in, but it's a little difficult, so you will have troubles putting this part back. So pretty much it needs to go inside of here and in the guide there, so then you're able to put your screws back in there. Next, we're going to add our black piece again with the 2 screws, and you want to make sure you're using the short stubby screws. Now we'll go ahead and fold down, and we're going to add our 2 springs. So one's going to go in that hole there, and then you'll see that you'll need your hook tool in order to lift it, to put it into that little metal part right there. Next, what you're going to do is make sure you have it on that one as well, on that side, so it'll look like that on each side. Next, you're going to add your wick bar into that little hole in there like so. And then you can add your roller in there, and then we'll move on with the next step. So next we'll install a roller. You'll have one short edge and one long edge. You want to make sure the long edge is on this side and the short edge is on this side, so then when we do add it back, you add it properly. So these guides right here are going to enter in here. We're going to go ahead and add the bracket back in there, so you'll see that you'll start to line up there and there, and then you'll push forward to meet to where those guides are at. There. Then as they get closer, just make sure you're adding to each one, like so. Then we'll add our 1 screw. Next, we're going to grab the gears, and then we're going to put them on each side. One right there, and one right there. You see that they'll push in like so. So now you're going to grab the roller like this, and then you'll slowly start to come down. Line it up. And then we'll go from there. Now we're going to go ahead and put back one of the pieces. You'll see that it'll go on that side there. And then you'll see that it'll stay in flush there. And then we're going to add our 1 screw there. So you're going to go ahead and pull down the lever and then re-add the one with the line marks back on top here. When you do, you want to make sure you line it up the way you had it beforehand. So once you find where you left it from on this side, you'll let go of the lever and it should tighten up. So when you pull down the lever, you can do the adjustments. Next, we're going to go ahead and add our C-clamp back to that position there. Next, you're going to add your sensor back on there, but first it's going to be the wire and then the little metal guide there, and then we can add the screw like so. Okay, once you have that screw in, then it's going to look like this. Now we're going to add the tie rod back to the little hole that was in there before. And then we're going to go ahead and add our gear. As you can see, it's going to go one way on where that rod's going to be going. Once you have that there, then we can add the C-clamp back on there. Next, we're going to add the white gear, and then we'll add another C-clamp. Now we're going to add our another gear, and you just want to make sure you line it up in there. Then we'll add our rod. So this rod, you're going to aim towards this hole right in here. You're going to want to lift a little bit just so the rod goes into position into the hole in there. If it doesn't go in like there, then we're just gonna go ahead and remove in the rods, or the C-clamp in here and the gears in there, and then we're gonna do it from the other side to push in. There's a little safety thing on there that's not allowing to go in. That's if it happens. Okay, so now you're just gonna push the rod in from this side, push it all the way in, and you'll see that it'll start to come on through here. Then we'll add our 3 C-clamps and the gears right back. One clamp goes there, and then another clamp. And then we'll add our gear. And then we'll add our last clamp there. Now we're going to add in the other side. We'll make sure we connect through the hole through there and line it up. Then you'll add your screw right there. Now we're gonna pull down the little sensor there and re-add the one with the lines on here. You just want to make sure when we do it again, we line them up with the numbers they are. Got your C-clamp. Now we're gonna add a C-clamp onto this one here, top one. Next we're gonna add this one here. And then we'll add a C-clamp, or we'll add the other gear underneath it. And then both of them will need C-clamps. Alright, so when we're going to add our flat plane, there's a little guide right there that you want to poke the little hole into there. So when you put it in there, it goes down like flush. You'll have one screw there and one screw there. Now we can add on this little frame here, which has 5 screws. You'll have, I believe, 2 plastic screws and 3 regular screws. 3 plastic screws and 2 regulars. Now you can put the cover back on. And then add the 1 screw in the corner. Next we'll connect the cable. Next we're going to have our little cover here. You'll see that go in, and then you'll have 1 screw. Now we're going to go ahead and add the spring from each side. So you want to make sure when you put it back to springs, you put it back the way it was. So this side from this side, make sure that you add your spring there, and then you'll go ahead and add it to